thank you to those who brought some cake as well. That's very welcome. Appreciate it.
Best ever.
Okay. So the second part of what we like to do in these meetings is to hear from one of our members about themselves and about their business, how they got started. In many cases, what brought them here, because many of us have come here from another country, so it's interesting to know what attracted us to Portugal and also what challenges we faced in coming to a new country. It's hard enough to launch a business in your home country, and it can be even more challenging to launch it in a foreign country. So we're going to get a South African perspective now from a new recent joiner to the church and to this group, who set up his own optical business in Faro. So please welcome Leon de Vos.
Yeah, hello everybody. I am new to this group. It's the second time that I've actually attended one of these meetings, and obviously this is the first time that I'm talking at the meeting as well. So what I thought I'd do with during this presentation tonight, I'd obviously give you a bit of background information about myself and my family, and then I'll also speak a little bit about my business as well, and then I thought I'd touch on a little bit about tips and advices as far as eye care goes and the services we offer, and then a little bit later on I'll also touch on about the latest research and development in the optical industry.
Ah, good. Excellent.
Let's go. Okay, so that's my family. That's a photo of us back in South Africa about 2 years back. I am
That's very young there.
That's very cheap. Aged not in 2 years. I'm married to Denora, almost 30 years. So I'm South African, my parents, grandparents are all South African. Denora was born in South Africa as well, but her parents are Portuguese. And they live here in Faro. We are at the moment living with them as well. I have 3 adult daughters who are in their 20s. Rachel, Julia, and Lauren. Lauren is the oldest, and she's engaged at the moment. She's engaged to Gary. And my daughters are all back in South Africa. Unfortunately, we were hoping that they would follow us here. 2 of them did come. One has gone back. She was the youngest one at least. We were hoping she'd stay, but she's gone back. The middle one is at the moment working on yachts in the other part of Spain, in Mallorca. And as I mentioned, Lauren's engaged to Gary and they live in South Africa. We only recently immigrated here, about a year or so ago. So prior to that, I had my own businesses in South Africa. I've always worked for myself as an independent optometrist in South Africa. So that's myself, and my optometry business was called Leon de Vos Optometrist, my name, because in South Africa you have to trade under your name, really, if you're a professional medical person. We lived in a city called Durban, which has a very similar climate to the Algarve. So it has nice weather right throughout the year. In fact, the summers are very hot and humid, much more than here. But the climate is very similar to what we have here as well. In South Africa, having my business, I mean, I've been a Christian for many, many years, and I was involved in the local community as well. In the church, we built a relationship with lots of friends in the church as well, and we served the community as best as we could. We ran our businesses. I ran my business on Christian principles. And I'm proud to say that we gained a good reputation with our community. And in fact, our community voted us as the best optometrist in the area, wow. which was a real, we were very proud of it. Yeah. And I'll show you, we'll get onto it here as well. So as I mentioned before, we've been here about a year or so. Initially, we've been thinking about immigrating for a long time. As with a lot of South Africans, we had reasons for immigrating, and it was for a combination of reasons. We were concerned about violence and the crime in South Africa, as well as the country as well, and what the future was going to hold for us as far as economy and our kids. We were looking at other options overseas. Portugal opened up for us, particularly with me trying to get accreditation to come work here as an optometrist, because you can't just work in any country, you need to apply for accreditation when it comes to the medical industry. So all of those sort of started falling in place as far as Portugal. The doors were opening up coming here. My wife being an only child, her parents had come back to Portugal a few years back, and her dad, they discovered he had cancer actually in South Africa already, and he had to undergo lots of surgery and chemo, and that was one of the other reasons why we came as well. We wanted to come and support them during this time as well. So for a combination of reasons, we felt that it was right to come to Portugal. So coming to Portugal has been a challenge, particularly for me, because I couldn't speak the language before. So, and being in an industry where I need to do consulting and test eyes and things like that, and most of my clientele are Portuguese, it was a challenge for me to actually learn to do the consultation in Portuguese. So I and my wife helped a lot with that. She helped with all translations, and I had to sort of really study hard initially to be able to get employment. So coming to Portugal, I first wanted to try and see if I could get work in the optometry industry, because I wasn't familiar with how optometry worked in Portugal.
Sure.
As much as things are similar in some ways, they're also very different. So I had to apply for some work, and it took a while for me to try and get work. And eventually I got a job with one of the biggest sort of chain groups as far as optometry goes. And working for them was quite a lot different because I wasn't working for myself as an independent guy. So working for a big group is very, very different and challenging, especially if Portuguese isn't your first language as well. And all my managers spoke very little English. They spoke only Portuguese. But it was a good thing because I was forced to learn Portuguese as much as I could. I learned a lot working for them. And I learned a lot about the industry, about the target markets, the type of people, how optometry works, and I'm really grateful for that time as well. But I also realized working for a big chain, it's very different. And for me at least, what I noticed working for this big chain is that they are very much orientated on pushing profits and setting targets. And there was a lot of pressure coming from management towards the employees as far as meeting our targets and reaching our targets. And the pressure was very strong in that you were almost pressurized to do things that were unethical. So, for instance, selling glasses to people that don't need glasses, upselling who don't need upselling and things like that. And I was very uncomfortable, and I told my manager I was very uncomfortable with it. But things were just not working out for me, and I couldn't see myself working with the company for long term. So I was praying about what to do, and looking around and deciding whether this was going to be an option for me to work with them, or whether I needed to consider doing something on my own, which was also challenging in a foreign country. So during this process, an opportunity happened where a shop became available to rent, and a little supermarket that was close to where my in-laws lived. And they told me about the shop that was available to rent. And we prayed about it, and discussed with the landlord and things like that, and we then made a decision to go ahead and rent the shop and sign a lease. So the shop is in Faro Centre, and we are in a little supermarket type of environment where the main anchor tenant is Pingados. So we've got the Pingados shopping centre as our anchor tenant. And then around on the outside of the centre, it's a small little centre, there's a variety of shops. There's a dentist and a bank and a little post office and things like that. It's in the suburb called Penha. I don't know.
Loja do Cidadão.
Is it the market?
No, not there. It's a little bit, there's a Pingados near the hospital. I don't know where the Algarve hospital is.
Near the firefighters, right?
Yes, right there. So you've got the Bombeiros, and then you've got the hospital, and there's the little Pingados there. So the actual sort of area, which was a challenge for me as well, is to realize what the target market like, what the environment is like. It's a different type of market as far as let's call it the disposable income that live in the area. It's very varied. So you've got people from a low income group, and you've got people from a middle income group, and there's a little bit of people that are sort of slightly more high income groups. So it's a very variety, but more middle to low income group. Which was also a bit of a challenge to figure out how to do business there as well, because now you've got to market yourself, you've got to stock products that are suitable for that type of environment. So we have been through some challenges, but the business has been 3 months, and God has blessed us. We have lots of challenges going forward as well, because obviously we need to think of ways of marketing ourselves. I need to improve my Portuguese, because fortunately for me, as I said, I can do the consultation in Portuguese, so that's fine. But I have aligned myself, my wife is working with me, she's fluent in Portuguese. So whenever I get stuck with things, I ask her. And I have a colleague who works as well, and he's fluent in English and Portuguese. So I've just made sure that I have people that I can ask for help where I need help as well. As far as our business goes, we intend to obviously run our business in godly principles. We intend to be a light for God in the community. Looking at our community, they really do need God. And we, besides for the business side of things, I mean, we're in the business to make a profit as well, but we need to be an example. So, as in South Africa, we need to show love and kindness, we need to be friendly, provide good service, and we've got this opportunity to share the gospel as well. So, going forward, as far as the that's my business, that's one of my clients there.
I love the logo. I love the logo. That's great.
What is business? The services that the business offers. So we do everything as far as eye care goes. We offer a comprehensive eye test. We check the health of your eyes, check your vision. That's what most optometry businesses do. We try and do a very thorough test, because working for a big corporate for the few months that I did, you rush through things, because it's all about doing numbers. So you have to push the client out as quickly as possible, in as short as time as possible, to make as much profit as possible. And I don't like doing business that way. So we do a full comprehensive eye test. We explain to the client what they really need, because a lot of people don't need progressive high-end multifocal lenses. Other people just need reading lenses. And you've got to consider the client's budget. That's a very important thing as well. So we operate our business on integrity. As much as we're in for the profit, we want to be open and honest with our clients and consider what's affordable for the clients. We offer regular promotions, discounts, and things like that as well. But we keep in mind that we obviously can't compete often with the prices that the big guys can come in as well. But you know, a lot of it's clever marketing. So you've just got to be careful as far as you market yourselves. But we do a full thorough test, and we offer from beginning to end. We provide prescription glasses, prescription sunglasses, contact lenses, soft contact lenses, disposables, dailies, you name it. We have accessories, clip-ons for sunglasses. We try and stock everything as far as general optometry and eye care go. We have branded eyewear as well. We don't have all the brands, because that's not possible to keep in one shop. We also don't keep top-end brands, because our market isn't top-end. So we keep brands like Ray-Ban, you know, the Polo and Vogue and those type of things, and then we also keep non-branded, affordable budget stuff as well, because our market requires that as well. So we've got to be aware of what the market also requires, our target market. So yeah, it's from top to end that we have to stock a variety of things to suit the market that we're in as well. A little bit about tips and advice as far as eye care goes. We recommend to have regular eye tests. Recommend having a test initially for children the year before they go to school, unless one suspects or picks up any other serious vision problems or eye problems before, but do a routine eye test the year before they go to school to make sure that their vision is good enough when they get to school ages, because they estimate that around 70 to 80% of what we learn comes through our sense of vision, especially as children. So it's important that children are able to see well when they get to school. Thereafter, just a regular routine eye test every year. When it comes to adults, things that one needs to look at in an eye test is a general health of the eye, so especially adults after the age of 40, things like measuring the eye pressure, checking the retina, checking for cataracts and things like that as well. So we do a full comprehensive eye test, not just the vision, but the general health condition of the eye as well. And if we pick up anything that we need to refer, we refer to an ophthalmologist. As far as sunglasses go, the important thing with sunglasses is that it's the UV protection and the quality of the tint that's important. You can get sunglasses that are affordable, and they've got very good UV quality tints. And you can get the more high-end brand that have got very similar type of coatings and UV quality and tints and things like that. So the important part is the quality of the UV coating, because it's the UV rays from the sun that damage the eye long term. Polarized lenses, there's a little bit of a misperception about having polarized lenses. Polarized lenses aren't a necessity for everybody using sunglasses. Polarized lenses are a coating on the lens that reduces the horizontal glare coming off a reflected surface. So they're really for people that spend time around water and snow. So the glare that comes off the water and the snow, the polarized lens reduces that horizontal glare. So that's for fishermen and sailors and surfers. That being said, I mean, it's no harm to have a polarized lens for general purpose wear, but it's not a necessity to have polarized lenses as sunglasses. Then as far as frame selection goes, just briefly, we always try to advise our patients, because that's an important thing with regards to choosing the right frames for those people that need glasses. Things that you need to keep in mind with regards to frames is the practical side of the frame, as far as comfort and size. Obviously it can't be too big or too small. It needs to be able to take the weight of the lens and the prescription of the lens. If you've got very high scripted lenses, the lenses are heavy or they're thick, you need to find a suitable frame for that. You need to fit your face correctly as well. On the big frames, you've got a small face. One also needs to consider the aesthetics. So people that have got like very round faces, you don't recommend round frames. You try and go for frames that are in contrast to the shape of the face. So you'll try and go for a square frame type of thing on a person that's got a round face, and for ladies maybe cat's eye frames, shaped frames for people that have got round faces type. That's just an example of something that needs to consider with frame selection. And then obviously you've got to consider the personality of the person. Some people are very bold and they want something that's bright and colourful, and other people are more conservative and they want something that's classic. So those are all things that one needs to keep in mind as far as frame selection goes. And another thing I just briefly wanted to touch on, because I've seen it so many times in all my years of optometry, is how to put eye drops in correctly. So the best way to put in eye drops, if you need to use eye drops for whatever reason, is to try and look at yourself in the mirror, pull your bottom lid down, away from the eyeball, and then you put the eye drop in between the space that you create between the bottom lid and the eyeball. That's where you put the eye drop in. And you must try and be careful not to touch the little plastic end of the eye drop onto the eye.
Yes.
So you just put 1 or 2 drops where it's required into that space between the bottom eyelid and the eyeball. Don't try and drop eye drops like this, and then you end up putting it in your mouth and all over your face, and you don't know what you're doing. So that's not the right way to put your eye drops. That's it. And I've seen that so many times. And then, as far as just briefly, what's happening with the latest research and developments in one area of the optical industry, particularly is myopia control. So with regards to myopia is a condition called short-sightedness. So it's where you can't see clearly in the distance. That's myopia. And what happens with myopia is that the eyeball is slightly elongated depending on the amount of myopia. And when your eyeball becomes elongated, it stretches from front to back. And in high amounts of myopia, particularly in degenerative myopia, when the eyeball stretches, the retina gets very thin. So the back part of the eye gets very thin, and then you're more at risk in getting things like retinal tears and retinal detachments and things like that. So there's been a lot of research and development into trying and slow down the process of myopia so it doesn't end up having these type of complications, high amounts of myopia later on in life. And so this process has actually started a while back already as far as what one can do to try and slow down this process. Myopia generally there's two main contributing reasons towards myopia. It's genetics, so it's often in the family, and the other thing is environmental conditions affect the progress of myopia. Environmental conditions are the amount of close work that we do. So people that spend many hours close up, whether it be reading or on digital devices and things like that, that contributes towards the progression of myopia. And that's why we see more and more people wearing glasses nowadays, especially young kids wearing glasses, because we're all getting closer, especially display screens, digital screens nowadays. So what the research has shown to try and slow down this progress of myopia, initially they started trying treatments like atropine drops. These are these drops that the specialists used to put in the eyes. But the problem is it wasn't practical, because when you put the drop in the eye, your vision was blurred for sometimes up to an hour or two, so you couldn't function. And it wasn't a practical thing. Then there was research going into what they call orthokeratology, and what happened with that was you had to sleep with these very specialized hard contact lenses, which pushed onto the eyeball to try and get it to change shape again, so get back to its original shape. And you had to sleep the night like that. And that was just, it's a temporary solution, because you woke up in the morning, your vision was clear, but gradually as the day progressed, it went blurred again. So it wasn't a long-term solution. And some people had some amount of success with it, but it wasn't a long-term solution that one could roll out to the general population. And so what happened is the contact lens companies and the spectacle lens companies started putting a lot of money and research into trying to manufacture lenses, glasses and contact lenses, to try and see how they could slow down this progress of myopia. And they've come up with specialized lenses that refract the light rays into different positions on the retina. And it's very technical, but what it really does is it seems to be effective. It's only been available for probably around about just over 5 years. Initially, it is quite an expensive lens, as with most RD lenses. It's advisable to start wearing these type of things at a very young age to get the best results. So it doesn't have good results for adults. It has better results if kids start wearing these type of things at a young age. And there it's more effective in slowing down the progress of myopia. But the lenses are available. They're available in glasses and contact lenses, which is a great thing going forward for the next generation to try and slow down this progress of myopia. And a very important thing to consider, because as I mentioned before, two main reasons that play the role in progression of myopia is the genetics as well as environmental conditions. So what we try to advise people to do where possible is that those that are spending many times on display screens, and because your work requires it, is to have breaks, and we normally apply the 20-20-20 rule. So what one does is where possible, after 20 minutes of working on a display screen or reading, whatever it is, have a break where you look in the distance, at least 20 feet, 6 meters. So try and look out the window for at least minimum of 20 seconds. So you need to try and get your eyes relaxed and look in the distance. And then come back again and do whatever work you can. So where possible, try and do it. It's not always possible in the working world, but it does seem to contribute and try and slow down the progression of myopia as well. So that...
Sorry, Leon, what's the last 20? The first is working like on your laptop. The next one is 20 feet away. What's the last 20?
Seconds.
20 seconds
Minimum
and then 20
seconds.
Oh.
20 minutes working on the laptop.
Yeah.
After 20 minutes of working, look 20 feet or further for a minimum of 20 seconds.
Okay.
If you can take more than 20 seconds, it's better. Yeah?
20 feet or meters.
20 feet, which is 6 meters. But if you can look further, it's even better.
So if it's 20 minutes,
Yeah.
And if you wear glasses already, you take them off?
No, we have 50 glasses.
You do it with your glasses.
Texting while driving is perfect. That's what it says.
Okay, so that's the end of my talk. And then, I would obviously appreciate any support. So if you've obviously been a new business, as I said, we've only been 3 months in the industry, we want you to grow our business. So if you know of anybody, or you yourself, your family or friends need anything as far as glasses or eye tests, we would obviously appreciate whatever support we can get. We recommend people to come and see us. Advice, especially with regards to marketing. In a new country, it's very different. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience as far as how to market my business in Portugal, and I'm trying different things. Something's working, something's not working. So I would appreciate any advice as far as that goes, and then obviously your prayers. We appreciate your prayers. Keep us in mind and pray for us as far as our business goes as well.
Thank you very much for the answer.
Sorry, before he goes, 2 questions. With regards to UV and polarize, which one, in your opinion, is the most important?
The UV.
Okay, I've always gone polarized because I've needed it for my particular application, and I've never really considered UV. Do you think I've done an injustice?
No. Most polarized lenses have got UV protection.
Okay.
Yeah. So they normally start when you have polarized sunglasses and things like that. You'll always see somewhere either on the frame, inside the frame, or the lens, whatever it is. When you purchase it from the store, they will have like a little sticker or rating, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Most polarized lenses will have UV protection.
Okay.
On top of the UV protection, they'll be polarized as well.
Okay.
They'll be polarized on top of the UV. Yeah. But you don't always have to have polarized on the top of the UV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, pilots, for instance, they are not advised to use polarized lenses, because what happens with polarized lenses is as I said, it reduces the horizontal glare. So also, when you work with display screens on the airplanes and things like that as well, when you've got a polarized lens, it affects your ability to see those horizontal lines on the display screens. So pilots are advised not to use polarized lenses.
My second question, sorry.
Can I get one in first?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned about coming, with your qualifications and coming to this new country. For example, Daphne and I have a neighbour who's a dermatologist. She's kept her practice in South Africa and keeps flying back there because she said it was just such a bureaucratic pain to qualify over here. I mean, so how difficult was it for you?
So we have considered other countries. I mean, one of the countries that we considered going to was Australia. We had looked at the UK and things like that. And each country has different regulations as far as what they'll consider for you to be able to work there. For instance, in optometry. So Australia, I had to redo exams. The UK, I had to do some extra studies and exams. With Portugal, they asked me to send my qualifications. It goes through a process of accreditation with the Optometry Association in Portugal. So there's a board of people that sit and look at your qualifications. That process took almost 9 months. It was a long process. So it was very slow. And I kept wanting to, I kept emailing, find out what's going on, because I wasn't sure what was going on. Everything happens slowly, I realized. It's like being in South Africa. So that was the process for me. I know that with some other medical degrees, they required to do external exams and additional exams to work in Portugal. But for optometry, for the South African qualification, they've accredited that. But it's different for different countries, I suppose.
Thanks. How do you rate the quality of manufacture of the lenses that you send away in Portugal versus South Africa? So now your lens has to be made up.
Yeah.
What's your honest rating of the
It's
manufacture?
about the same. I think that probably I would say Portugal's a little bit better, to be honest with you, because I think the European standards are a little bit higher. So the quality lenses that I've seen, I've been here now working probably my business 3 months, and prior to that when I worked for the group, it was about 4 months. I've been here 7 months working in the industry. I would say the quality is a little bit better than in South Africa.
Is that so?
There's more options available as far as lens suppliers go here. So we've got like Chenier and also Zeiss and Essilor, all those type of guys. So, and there's a lot more here in Portugal than we have in South Africa. In South Africa, we probably just have 3 or 4 big ones, and then a little few Chinese ones here and there. Whereas in Europe, there's a lot more available. So I'd say the quality is better here.
Any other questions from them?
Yeah. What would you tell someone who, like me, who just walks into a Chinese shop and buys, reading glasses for $350, and I break them, I don't care, I lose them, I don't care, and I do this 30 times a year. And it
You need a subscription.
It costs me totally €100, and I'm happy with it. I mean, I just need them for reading 1.5 to 3. So what is there wrong? Is there something wrong with it, with this strategy?
No, look, there's not necessarily something wrong with it. I would start off by doing a full thorough eye test. First of all, just to check and make sure that your script measurement is 1.5 both eyes. Because you're just assuming that, and it might not be. There might be a difference between the eyes. So that in that case, you're straining one eye because one eye is in focus, one eye is not out of in focus. So when you buy over-the-counter manufactured ones, it's the same measurements of both eyes. Now, some people are fortunate enough that it is the same, so they can use those. The second thing is, if your measurements are the same on both eyes, you can use it. There's no harm in using that. But some of those lens qualities are better than others. Some of them are very poor quality lenses, and they're not good to use, especially if you're using for extensive periods of time. So if you're going to be using them for 3, 4, 5 hours at a time, it's not good. Other of those over-the-counter ones are better quality, so you can use those. But I would start first of all doing the proper test to make sure what your correct measurements are, because maybe it's not one of both eyes. Yeah.
And of course, one of those times he lost his lenses was tonight. Because he
couldn't actually read the news. I never find them again.
Yeah, related to your marketing ask, I think the first thing to do would be to really focus on Google business reviews, because they go a long way for credibility. So people will search for this, and you will also score higher in your sort of search results. So organically, that's the easiest thing to do. So make sure that you have a sign in your shop. I would say, but also if someone is happy or they come back, make sure that they do this like 1-minute task and just put a review up there.
When you say sign, you just said please review me on Google.
Yeah, just like a sign on your door or on
Or a QR code and that
or
they
QR
can
code or anything.
follow along immediately.
Say again, what was it?
The QR code
Yeah.
goes like
Yeah.
in the window, and so did you like? Or just please review it, and it just takes a picture of it and it immediately.
That's a
goes
good
to
idea. I don't know how to even get a QR code. How does one get a
this
QR
is-
code? I mean, this is
Somebody
technology.
tells you.
Well, you can just get, if you go on, if you Google how to do a QR code, it'll show you, just get a QR code that goes to a link.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a representation of the link instead of the link. It's more as a cube. It's more the same thing.
I would not recommend to put on the window because I already had a store and people sometimes are mean. I would recommend to put it inside. After the service and making like a really important in social media, like in Instagram, is transporting to a lifestyle. So if you show up like a lifestyle store, it's really important for selling your products and to transport.
But what do you mean by lifestyle store? What do you mean
It's
by that?
like not just putting photos of your products, but with people and
okay.
to create a connection and to create an idea on the people's mind, not just on your store, but outside as well, in the shopping center, in the park, in the community, that's really important.
And I think that part of that thinking then is to move beyond your geographic area. Just because you're based there doesn't mean that that's your entire market.
No. So I'm trying to also target marketing towards the expat community. So what I've done is I've tried to join as many as possible that you are allowed to join for the sake of business and introductions, because you know you can't just pump your business on certain expat groups and things like that. It's not right. But those that you can introduce yourself, because being English speaking, I thought that would be a good market to target as well.
Yeah. Portugal newspaper.
Yeah, I've got something Portugal's newspaper, so that type of thing as well. I'm trying to do as well to see if I can get to that community as well, because I thought that will be a lot of people that would want to consider who couldn't speak Portuguese and want to see somebody who can do an eye test in English.
Great.
If you're in Kenya, you first to the university.
Yeah.
Do you do anything for students or?
We have a special deal for students, because the students are right there, so we've got a 20% discount for students.
One thing that I see on this business, it's some like they offer how to say no. Como se diz rastreio? Like diabetes checkup free.
Yeah, checkup.
A checkup free, and like with some association, like a club or association that they give.
They sponsor the classes.
And so there are clubs they make funds and they create funds and they supposedly give 10 glasses to the most poor people, and they make the checkup. It's involve like you one day
going there and spending time doing
it. But in the 10 glasses.
And there are quite a few associations in Faro in that area.
If you are interested, you should go through this kind of associations, and
where do you find information about those associations?
No, I know one who because it's near my coffee. It's the Lion Clubs.
Oh, the Lions, so
Lions,
they
sponsor
the Rotary as well.
They sponsor, and this is one of the things that they do. They make this.
And so the student association in university.
Yes.
Afterwards.
After these reading classes, so you've got one lines, long lines.
Contact lens wearer with monovision, and I've got that now in my eyes.
Oh, have you?
So, but I can't read a very teeny print. So, I'm your first client.
There you go.
Amazing.
It's a good test, like it's like, ooh, wow, okay, reading glasses.
I didn't hear that. Do you also test do the test on the children? Yes. And from what age? Because you said 1 year before they.
So we recommend at least, unless you expect their problems before, but 1 year before they go to primary school, so grade 1. Because at that age, children are able to communicate, they can identify letters, numbers, pictures, you can do a proper test on that. So we normally recommend that you go through school.
Yeah, that's maybe also some idea. There's this ship where Mark used to be the Logos Hope. It's the biggest floating Logos Hope.
I've been on that ship.
Oh yes, my son's been there 2 years.
I've been on that ship. Just to visit, I haven't travelled on the ship.
Yeah, it's the biggest floating line.
Yes, yeah.
They're actually doing a charity program that they're going to countries and they're giving out glasses, very simple and cheap glasses, but as for people to be able to read. And then they're combining this with reading the scripture. So they even in Arab countries, so this way they can bring the word also to you know through this door of glasses and reading and so on. But that's also maybe a publicity thing that's maybe a shop like this can do, like just having cheap glasses but to poor people or something like that.
You want him to see his business cards on the ship,
Leon, you do the testing for over 65 for driving licenses.
Yes.
You do, that was
You get those little, you need a document that you need to take when you renew your license.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that now.
Just a question. You do eye exams and you do your glasses, right?
Yes.
So I know some companies do whenever you do an eye exam, and if you buy a pair of glasses, for example, they normally give you the test that you just did for free. Do you do that type of service, or is it
Yes,
separate?
so we've decided to do it that way because what happened is I've noticed coming to Portugal, one of the things that's different here compared to what was in South Africa is that a lot of the optometry stores, a lot of the big chain groups and stuff do free eye tests.
But they keep it.
And it's quite a challenge to do that type of thing because the one that I worked in offered eye tests for free. And what I noticed happening then is you just do lots and lots of tests because obviously everybody did the eye test for free, and then a lot of the people you've got to try and convince them they need glasses because this is what this company is. Now you've got to convince them that they need glasses, and a lot of them don't need, but you've got your target, you said you're going to work. So the thing there is that I didn't want to offer just free eye tests like that because otherwise, first of all, you've got everybody coming in all the time, and not everybody, has got intentions of wanting to really know what their eyes are like, and some people just take advantage of it as well, So I decided to do what you were saying, is to say, you come in, we'll do the test, we charge €25, that's around 3 years for the eye test, but if you, after the test, once we've now discussed what your needs are, and if you need glasses, and if you decide that you want to go with glasses, then we'll discount that. We'll discount it. And that's why we've decided to do it.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, it's fair. Really.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks again, Leon.